So I think this week and next week should wrap up what I have to say, Lord willing. So where have we been? We've been out to the farthest reaches of the cosmos. We looked at light in a dark place. Isn't that what you are? We looked at the stars, those little points of light in a dark place, which together told and foretold the plan of God. And so we unfolded that here. But that was not the focus of what I was going to speak about. It's the man in the heavens, Mazzaroth. And so we looked at the physical body portrayed in the heavens, from the head to the toes, and several different kinds of minds. I found that so interesting that there was an analytical mind, and that there was a penetrating mind, and that there was a higher reaching mind. You see, we're not just mind-numb robots, but God has designed each of us in such a way as to receive His Word and His concept. I have to say that because I don't know that I can describe God to you as I see Him. We all believe. And so some of us believe with a higher mind and a very philosophical expanse of God, while others might believe with the analytical mind and see the detail of what, why, when, and how. But you see, that's all part of the man, because it's all part of the Christ. So we saw the body, we looked at the parts, maybe spooked a few people about what was revealed. And today I want to be able to take that which was spiritual and unable to touch physically, and I want to bring that. I want to show how God brought that man to the earth. Now, if he went through all of this unbelievable teaching or understanding, you know, he understands us. He knows us, and we're all so different. But he knows you like nobody else even knows you. And like even you don't know you. Because there's parts of you that are concealed and hidden, and that's a whole other teaching of the heavens. I can't go there. But how did God take Mazzaroth and cunningly place him on earth? So last time I touched highlights of things that God did to bring the man on earth. He did that thing when he quizzed Job. He said, "Can you bring him before his time?" Job said, "Ain't no way. Ain't no way. Only you, Lord." So time unfolds in creation and plan. And God decides it's time to bring forth his Maseroth, his man. So, the first thing we find is Adam in the garden, in his image and likeness, right? Now, historical records, archaeological finds, all pretty well inform us that there was some two-legged, upright, walking creatures on the face of the earth when he put Adam in the garden.
That's true.
We have the prehistoric man, the Mesozoic man, all of those men, creatures, zoe, some form of life, anthropos. But there was only one God-man.
That's right.
A whole new race. And I was thinking that there he was in the Garden of Eden, in the most fertile area of the Mesopotamian plain, in a garden, unspeakable. Surely as God made little green apples, something must have noticed him there. Some form of life must have glimpsed into that garden and seen a life so different from theirs. It could only be God. So, as cunning as he is, that's what he did. He put his man on the earth, introduced him, gave him a wife out of his side. Sometimes, guys, that's why you got a pain in your side, because that came forth to show the church, to show a pattern of spirit and soul living together. As we talked about in Sunday school, Noah, after we follow the whole story of Adam and all of that business, we have Noah born, Noah being a type of Christ and Savior. And I'd mentioned that Noah walked with God because he learned it from his great-grandfather, Enoch. He spent 120 years to build an ark. God spent eternity putting a plan of salvation into effect. One of the next major impressions on the earth was Abram, and his call to come out from being a stargazer to start a family. We find a Christophany, that's Melchizedek, having no beginning and no end, coming to the earth, just appearing and blessing Abraham, giving Abraham bread and wine, flesh and blood. Later on, we found the picture of Isaac, the promised seed, the promised one to come, carrying his own wood to be sacrificed with, foreshadowing Christ carrying his cross. And then we find the story of Jacob. Jacob, a man much as you and I, with his own fears and his own ways, And yet God took him and changed his name, changed his character. And from Jacob came Israel. And if you paid attention to it, it was a picture of God, not just introducing the God-man, but now introducing the corporate man. The 12 sons now spoke of the perfect government. Moses is born. Once again, we see an ark. And we see a man made to be the deliverer. A man who thought he was weak in the sense that he couldn't speak. That he might have his brother be his mouthpiece. But he was told that you will be a God. You will be as God to Egypt. Moses became the deliverer. The events of the plagues, the Passover, the Exodus, water from a rock. Millions of people and their cattle and their herds got to drink from a rock. We were brought into the to the making, the building, and the directions in the tabernacle, which might be that right there. I know it doesn't look like it, but I looked for something that might speak of that, and so there it is. We had the holy garments, the artifacts and the furniture, the 10 Commandments, and the Levitical laws. Everything was set up, and then God said, I want to put this house in order. And so in Numbers, we had the numbering and the order of the encampment. God set them in the body as it pleased him. And so it is with you. It's a funny thing that when they departed from the Sinai, there was murmurings and complainings and grumblings. I know you've never grumbled about anything, but I've voiced a few complaints about Christ Life Fellowship or what I'm doing here. So today, I want to build for you the encampment. So I'm going to need your help. And so, with that said, I need 4 Libras. Are there 4 Libras in the house? There's 1. 2? Are there 4? I'll take a substitute Libra. Come on up. We got somebody up there? All right, I'm going to stand you right here, okay? You are, no, this is who you are. You are Moses. And I will, you have somebody in the back here. There you go, and then on each side. Okay. I need a Leo. Just one. Somebody's coming? Okay. Okay, I'll take 2 Leos. Okay, you guys are going to stand right here. Okay? And if you hold that, let me catch up to where we are. And the Lord spake unto Moses and unto Aaron, saying, Every man of the children of Israel shall pitch by his own standard with the ensign of their father's house. We're going to have 2 things, standards and ensigns. Far off about the tabernacle of the congregation shall they pitch. So, far off is the same word found when Hagar and her son Isaac are thrust out of the camp. Sarah said, I can't stand this woman anymore. Get rid of her. So they were packed with goods and left. And when the boy started to die because of lack of water, the mother couldn't stand to see him die. It said that she put him under a bush and moved afar off. Now that word far off means a bow shot. Now, I am imagining that if we shot a good bow from here, it would go close to halfway through that playing field. You agree? Yep. Okay. So we are imagining that from the tabernacle, this space, and let's give them a little more space. Come on down here. That's lovely. That space is that bow shot. Okay? And if we will imagine, the light coming through that door is the east elevation. Okay? That's east for all intent and purpose. The tabernacle is set, the gate of the tabernacle is facing east. And so Judah will be the first tribe there. And on the east, towards the rising of the sun, shall they set the standard of the camp of Judah and pitch their enemies there, their armies there. And those that pitch next to him shall be Issachar. I need a Cancerian. Who's a Cancer in here? Good deal. Now, if you just stand and kind of face like John is, and you can just hold that up so we know who you are. And come to me some more. That's good. And next to him is Zebulun. I need a Virgo. There's a good Virgo right there. All right? Now you stand right here. If you want to just make once around so everybody can see what's on the paper, that's fine. Then, on the south side, which would be this side here. On the south side, I have Reuben, Aquarius. I need an Aquarian. I got so many papers here, I don't know what I'm doing. Reuben. Okay, just stand where you are right there and hold that. Aquarian. You are Reuben, brother. It's a sandwich. I know it is a good sandwich, too. Okay. So, let me see where we are. So, Gershonites. Oh, you make a wonderful Gershonite. You're going to be right there. And then we'll have the Merarites. And the Kohathites. Here we come. Right there. It's crazy. I'm going somewhere. Bear with me. Now, on the west side, well, if that's east, and this is west up here. On the west side, Ephraim, Manasseh, and the tribe of Benjamin. So, the west side, up here, Ephraim. I need a couple of Tauruses, 2 Tauruses. Here's 1 and 2, okay. Hey, you're a Taurus? Huh?
We're going to have 3.
That's fine. Okay, so you just kind of stand up behind Chris, and you stand behind Chris. That sounds like something. And a Gemini, Benjamin. Here comes a Gemini. Just stand right there. Now, I got out of line here. I started with Danny and the Reuben. I need Simeon, a Pisces. If you would be so kind to stand there. And Gad, and Aries. Any Arians? Here comes an Arian. Okay, then on the north side, under the eagle banner, I need a Danite, which would be a Scorpio. Scorpio, right there, okay. Oh. And next to him, Asher, a Sagittarian. Sagittarian 1, here we go. And finally, Naphtali is a Capricorn. You going to be the Capricorn? All right, you just stand right there. All right. So God orders this placement. He says, this is how I want my tribe to be, in this order. So, around the tabernacle, a bow shot in every direction is a huge space. Camped within that space are going to be the Kohathites, the Gershonites, the Merarites, and Moses and Aaron's sons. Out in front of each of these 4 arms is a huge banner. And in front of Judah is the banner of a lion. In front of Ephraim is the banner of an ox. In front of Reuben is the banner of a man. And in front of Dan is the banner of an eagle. But those that encamp before the tabernacle towards the east, even before the tabernacle of the congregation eastward, shall be Moses and Aaron and his sons. keeping the charge of the sanctuary for the charge of the children of Israel. And the stranger that cometh nigh shall be put to death. God's got serious business. So we've got 22,000 plus Levites tending and dealing in shifts with the things of the tabernacle. And outside are these 4 giant standards on what are called the cardinal points: north, south, east, and west, showing the camp of Judah, Ephraim, Reuben, and Dan. Ezekiel 1:10. As for the likeness of their faces, they 4 had the face of a man, the face of a lion, and on the right side they had the face of an ox, and on the left, and they 4 also had the face of an eagle. The standards of the 4 beasts are the major signs of impact. Revelation 4 and 6. Also before the throne there was what looked like a sea of glass, clear as crystal. In the center, around the throne, were 4 living creatures. They were covered with eyes in front and in back. The first living creature was a lion, the second like as an ox, the third had a face of a man, and the fourth was a flying eagle. Now, some dimensions to this encampment. The writings of the historian Josephus say that the encampment was 12 miles across. Interesting that to the heart of the encampment, from the far side, was 6 miles. The number of men from the edge of the camp to the heart, to the center. Now God is looking down from heaven, and he looks down and he sees these millions of people in the flat land of the desert in the shape of a cross. You say, why a cross? Why not? It's the prophecy. The man will be on the cross. But the other part of the prophecy is the man will come down off the cross. So, as I put this in perspective, this group right here numbers 151,400 men able to go to war. That's the population of Springfield. Now take the population of Springfield in this 6 miles and add the fact that those are men to go to war, add their wives, add their children, add their parents, and out of that 150,000, you now have a couple of million people. And I find it so very interesting that the other wing of the cross has a population of 157,000, almost exactly the same amount. So that the density of both the right and left wing of the cross is exactly the same. So you say, well, what happens out in here? Well, out here, every family has oxen and cattle, sheep and goats and herds by the hundreds of thousands. And so that's where they would keep them. everybody had an ability to get at their stuff. The population on the west side for Ephraim, Manasseh, and Benjamin, under the banner of the ox, was the same population of Agawam, Amherst, Chicopee, and East Hampton, times 6. Your mate, your children, your grandparents, right? Quite interesting that coming east, under the standard of the lion, we had Judah, Issachar, and Zebulun, equal to the population of East Longmeadow, Greenfield, Holyoke, Ludlow, Northampton, South Hadley, West Springfield, and Westfield. 186,400 times 5 or 6 anyways. Just the men alone able to go to war was equal to the entire population of Boston. Okay, so this is huge, to quote Donald Trump. It's huge. So, to put miles into perspective, if I were to walk from Benjamin, back there, to the tabernacle, it would be the equivalent of walking from South Deerfield to right here, this address. If I were to walk, if I were a Gadite and I was going to bring my sacrifice to the altar, it would be the equivalent of walking from Huntington to Lincoln Street. Under the eagle banner, Dan, Asher, Naphtali, that would be walking from Three Rivers to South Hadley. And down here, we're Enfield, Connecticut, walking. Now, honey, I'll see you in a while. I'm taking the sacrifice to the altar. I'll be back whenever. And on the way, every man has got his goat in tow, and they're walking from Enfield to Lincoln Street in South Hadley to bring their offering and their sacrifice. That's the perspective of how grand this is. Easy for God to look down in the heavens to the desert at the base of Mount Sinai and say, there he is. There he is. I, by the Spirit, took everything that encompassed the whole universe, and I made him physical, and I stood him here. So, next week, we're going to show the camp on the move. I had to ask all the way through here, what about the stars? What about their names and their meanings? Why is there a man in the heavens? And why does it really call out so plainly the feet, the blood, bodily fluids, ankles, legs, a depth of mind, kidneys and liver, different names? We know when the cloud moves, Judah goes first. I remember Edna just dancing away to when the cloud starts moving. But you see, we don't know anything else, but if God has done this in purpose and in form, in minute detail, then the marching forth of this assembly, this nation. I love the line in the Bible where he tells Moses, I will make your enemy as still as a stone when you go by.
That's it.
Why? Because of the intensity. Now, one last point before I wrap it up. Our shofar. Shofars are a very common instrument. They were used way long before the tabernacle was set up. Various horns, rams, goats, different gazelle-type creatures, some looped, some curled, some were long, some were short. But every man had a shofar with him, one of the horn shofars. They were for sounding an alarm. You didn't have the iPhone to call from Judah to Benjamin and say trouble's coming. So they had these horns, and certain blasts meant certain things. They were to sound an alarm. They were to assemble the army. And they were to sound an attack. But in this setup, when everything was being made for the tabernacle, the Lord said, you'll take a piece of silver and you'll fashion 2 horns. 2 silver horns. Special purpose for those horns. One, it was to call an assembly. 2, it was for the journeying of the camp. So we're all camped out, got our tents and our cookware and our kids, and everybody's around, and our cattle are being taken care of, and there's a constant dust cloud because sacrificing is going on and trafficking back and forth in this wide space around the... But when the cloud begins to lift and Moses sees it, he tells the priests, and it's only the priests that had the silver horns, to sound this silver horn alarm because there's going to be the journeying of the camp. And so for the next 6 miles, 18 miles, the individuals picked up on that silver horn and sounded those sounds all the way to get ready. So, with that, I will collect all of your signs, and we'll pick up next week with the sounding of the trumpet and the moving of the nation. Amen. Thanks. You are